Great. Well, I want to make sure that we keep the price of electricity affordable, and again, especially in our rural areas in the state, especially working with rural electric co-ops. That's a huge priority. I look forward to working with you on that. Let me turn to Commissioner Clements. Let me ask you, some emails disclosed last year via a FOIA request showed that you briefed a funders-only session at a left-leaning grant-making foundation called the Energy Foundation about FERC 2022 priorities. Who were the donors who attended that session?
There was not fundraising in the meeting you asked about. It was a convening of foundation staff from across the country, and I was having a very kind of straightforward, above-the-board conversation about 2022 priorities. Subject to my ethics agreement and any ex parte restrictions, I have an open-door policy, so I meet with all kinds of stakeholders. I've actually never said no to a meeting between either my staff taking it or myself.
Wait a minute. You said it was staff. The FOIA information says it was advertised as a funders-only session. Donors.
I'm not sure. It wasn't an advertised thing. There are foundations that work together.
It was briefed as a funders-only session, meaning that there were donors there. So who were the donors?
I think it's important to understand that what my role to do is engage with these stakeholders. When I was invited to present to a group of foundation staff, just like when I'm invited.
Hey everyone! Today I'm diving into an explosive exchange from a recent Senate hearing. Senator Josh Hawley confronted Federal Energy Regulatory Commissioner Allison Clements over her interactions with donors connected to the energy industry. It's a story that raises serious questions about ethics, transparency, and the influence of money in regulatory processes. Hawley wasted no time addressing a major concern for his home state of Missouri, the Spire pipeline in St. Louis. For years, this pipeline has been a point of contention, with residents worried about skyrocketing gas bills if it shut down. Hawley pressed Chairman Willie Phillips for assurance that the pipeline would remain operational. Chairman Phillips responded cautiously, reiterating that pipeline certifications are evaluated on a case-by-case basis.
Do
you think it's appropriate that you would be giving closed-door briefings to donors?
No, and I didn't do that, sir.
What do you mean you didn't do it? This is the information says that it was a funders event. It was a funders-only session at a foundation that raises money from donors.
I provide my stump speech on my own FERC priorities to many different kinds of groups.
Donors?
Many convening. Some of them might be donors in any capacity. Certainly,
Did any of those donors who were present that day have a financial interest in the energy industry?
Almost everyone I speak to has a financial interest in the energy industry.
Oh, wow. Okay. So this is a normal practice of yours to speak to groups that have financial interest in your industry?
So when I go and I talk to the board of EPSA or the EEI CEOs or the interstate pipeline member companies, all of whom I have spent time with, the idea is that subject to ethical responsibilities and also my ex parte restrictions, I engage with them. I tell them my priorities.
Do you think it's appropriate, my time is running out here, do you think it's appropriate to speak to advocacy groups at a donors-only session? Do you think that that's appropriate?
I think it is appropriate to speak with foundations who are interested in the energy.
To their donor sessions? Wow. Wow. I have to say, I think that that's pretty problematic. I would like a list of the donors. I'd like to know who was there. I'm concerned about this, what you've now described as a pattern and practice of speaking to donor groups that have financial interests in the industry you are regulating. I think that's a big problem. If that's not currently foreclosed by law, we ought to foreclose it, Mr. Chairman. But you said that you do this on a regular basis. We'll probably follow up. I think I'm probably going to need to see a list of all the groups you've spoken to. I'm going to want to know the donors that you've spoken to. I am extremely, extremely disturbed by what you have just told me. And at a time when we have major ethics issues, we've got members of Congress buying and selling stock based on information that only they are privy to. We've got members of the executive branch who are buying and selling stock in industries that they regulate. And now we've got you speaking to donors in industries that you regulate.
Senator, thank you.
That's a problem.
Thank you.
That's a problem, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Cortez.
Hawley's persistence highlights how vital this issue is for Missourians facing tough economic times. These areas depend heavily on rural electric co-ops, which are struggling due to supply chain issues, specifically with securing new transformers. He demanded answers on what the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC, is doing to keep prices down. Chairman Phillips pointed to ongoing reforms aimed at long-term affordability. Emails obtained through a FOIA request revealed that donors, some with direct financial ties to the energy industry, were in attendance. When asked who these donors were, Clements struggled to provide clear answers, using terms like foundation staff and stakeholders instead. Hawley didn't let her off the hook, repeatedly pressing her for transparency about who attended and whether money was raised. She admitted to regularly engaging with stakeholders, including those with financial interests in the industry she regulates. Hawley called this practice problematic and connected it to larger issues of ethics in government, such as insider trading among lawmakers and executive branch officials. His frustration was palpable as he called for greater transparency and accountability, making it clear that these practices undermine public trust in regulatory bodies. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe to stay updated on stories that matter. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.